Steph Curry calls the Golden State Warriors team average. What's it going to take for them not to be average? On today's Locked On Dubs.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Oh, it is the good word, everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025. Hopefully better days ahead for the Golden State Warriors because it's been frightening as of late. The Warriors just 4-13 in their last 17 games. This is Locked On Warriors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name's Charlie Walter, formerly at 95.7 The Game in the Bay Area. Covered the team for 3 seasons. Also covered the team for CBS News Bay Area, call letters KPIX. And saw the Warriors win their championship in Boston in 21-22. One of the men that covered the team with me was Matt Kolsky. He's a regular co-host on this show. Good to see you, Kolsky. You can find this show on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed and also give us the thumbs up. We very much appreciate it. You can also check us out wherever you get your audio podcast. Anyways, Matt Kolsky joining me on the show today to break down the average Dubs. I didn't say it. Steph Curry did. And their record says it as well as they enter the new year, a flat 16-16. The Buddy Hield struggles. It's gone from, all right, Buddy has a flurry to, all right, he's not making some shots to, all right, he's borderline unplayable. And also, a Hail Mary is what it's going to take for the Warriors to at least be contenders this year, it would seem. Could that Hail Mary be Zion Williamson? The steam is starting to pick up from the writers, and reports are saying that there may be some mutual interest there. What is going on? Kolsky, how we feeling, my man?
I'm feeling good. Happy New Year. I don't know if you can see the detritus from the New Year's party we had in the studio last night, but, it's good. 2025 off to a roaring start for us. The Warriors, maybe not so much. I guess we'll find out tomorrow night. Steph Curry has made a habit of this the last few years, right?
Deja vu, man.
Yeah, and he's right, obviously. They're an average team at best right now. I mean, really a little sub-average, I would say. That being said, it feels like a little tweak here or there could put them right back in the thick of things. And in the very same press conference where he called the team average accurately, he also said accurately, hey, look, a 5-6 game run, all of a sudden you're back near the top of the Western Conference. And that's certainly still the case. So it's still an intriguing position. And I still have a lot of belief in a lot of the parts of this team. So let's roll.
Here's what he said in the press conference that kind of stuck out to me was that it doesn't necessarily feel like last year. It feels like the title year where they went 18-2 and then had the midseason lull. Now, obviously, they were never close to 500 that season, but they were playing bad basketball for a minute during that championship season, and they figured out right in the nick of time. But with this Warriors team, they started off 13-3 on the season. Is that 12-3? 12-3 on the season. And since then, they've fallen apart, going just 4-13, as my math is correct there. And I could pinpoint the exact moment when it started falling apart for the Warriors. It was November 22nd. The Dubs had destroyed the Hawks the game before. They were playing a Pelicans team that was missing everyone. It was just the second unit Pelicans and Brandon Ingram, and Golden State looked bad. They won, but they looked bad. They have not had a winning streak since. That was November 22nd. A month and 9 days is what it's been. So what's it going to take for this team to be anything other than average? Because you say that there's still a little something there. And when you look at the beginning of the year, the fact that Golden State was taking down teams like Oklahoma City and Boston, albeit not at full strength, and taking down teams like Memphis, albeit not at full strength, and Houston multiple times, what is it going to take for this team to get remotely back to that level? Because right now they look more of the part of a lottery team than a team that can contend.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing at this point is just the younger players on this team getting more opportunity and playing better. I think we have already seen for a few games now increased opportunity for not only Jonathan Kuminga, who we've obviously talked about plenty, but Trayce Jackson-Davis as well. Increased opportunity.
Been good.
Really
Trayce
good.
Has been nice, man. He's been aggressive.
Well, and that's the word for both of them, Kuminga and Trayce. The biggest difference, I mean, Kuminga's doing so much well, but the biggest difference really is the aggression from both of them. They're both out there attacking the glass, attacking the basket when they have the ball, and both of them are playing really well. Can you get that from Moses Moody and Brandon Podziemski as well? I think you see, and I think we'll get into it even more when we arrive at the Buddy Hield train stop, which is not going to be a pleasant one, by the way. You need Podziemski right now. You know, he's been playing better the last 7 or 8 games that he was out there. When Buddy is this flat, all of a sudden, Melton's gone. You know, Schroeder's really just a point guard. Like, that 2-guard position is woefully thin all of a sudden, and Buddy is almost...
Clay. You're missing Clay.
You are. You're kind of missing Clay. I mean, look, you know, that's revisionist history because we all know it didn't go great last year. Like, you're seeing all the...
Yep.
Yeah, and obviously Melton was his intended replacement, and so, you know, you take that into account as well. But right now, Klay Thompson would sure help. And in lieu of that, Brandon Podziemski's got to be the guy. So hopefully whatever, I think it was a leg issue of some kind, whatever's bothering him, hopefully. Oblique. Oh, an oblique. Well, hopefully it's a minor issue because they need a 2-guard who can handle and score a little bit and certainly play defense. So if the young guys start to get those extra opportunities, and with Buddy stinking the joint up, why not? That is where the biggest turn can come. But of course, also, it's got to be Steph and Draymond playing better on their off nights. Like, we've seen both guys have great nights this year, especially Steph, but Draymond too. The nights where Steph feels 36 and you can see it, he's got to feel 36 more comfortably and not be throwing the ball all over town and making mistakes. You know, if that means, you know, that night when the legs just don't feel it, you're only playing 25 minutes, maybe that's the answer. I don't know what the answer is to that. But I do think, again, if the young guys are playing better, it makes it all easier because so much of what has been a problem, I think, in Steph's off nights is that he still feels the pressure to get it going so he can carry the team. He needs help. And the quickest way to get that help is from guys like Kuminga and Podziemski and Moody and Trayce Jackson-Davis.
And we're going to talk about if that help can come externally in the form of Zion Williamson. It would kind of be, you know, somewhat of a Hail Mary play, a huge high risk, high reward situation that could hinder you big time, but at the same time could be a team friendly deal because of all the weight clauses and the games that he has to play clauses. We'll get into that in just a moment. But remember a time when the rose colored glasses was on, Kolsky? When this team was flying at you with 12 guys, they were getting out in transition. Buddy Hield was knocking down 3 after 3. He was scoring 20 points a night at the beginning of the season. What do you think's going through Mike Dunleavy's head right now? Because this is technically the same team minus DeAnthony Melton, the exact same team that we saw earlier in the year that had the 1 seed in the West through 15 games.
Man, what's Mike Dunleavy thinking? You know, the life comes at you fast meme.
Yeah.
It's somewhere between that and the dog in the burning room
and the want to get away. Yeah.
This is life in the NBA for most teams. You know, I mean, frankly, most teams never have the good run, right? Like, being an NBA general manager is hard work. Now, I think what's he thinking in terms of what to do? I think Mike Dunleavy, if I had to guess, has been wanting to see more of the young guys all along, because whether or not it's really those 4, right? Kuminga, TJD, Podziemski, and Moody. Whether all 4, none of the 4, 2 of the 4, no matter how many of them are part of the Golden State Warriors' future, it's very hard to make anything happen for the Warriors' future without knowing what you have. And I think, you know, you have a better idea with TJD, and you thought you had a better idea with Podziemski, but Kuminga still remains a bit of a mystery box, and Moses Moody is a complete unknown, really, for any reasonable calculation of the future. Now, you've got him on a pretty reasonable, friendly deal, and that makes him an asset to a degree, but you would hate to trade Moses Moody and find out that contract is even more reasonable than you thought. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's crazy to imagine Moses Moody getting traded to a mediocre or bad team where he gets 30 minutes a night and scoring 15 points a game and like really coming alive. So you got to see stuff. And I think what Mike Dunleavy's thinking is, let me see some stuff from my guys so I know what I have, and so I know whether one of these trade deadline deals is possible. I think it's been, since Klay got hurt, I think the Warriors as a franchise have been open to making moves to give Steph Curry a better chance of winning a title.
There's just no easy moves. Lacob said it all offseason. Trades are hard. Trades are hard. We heard it all offseason. Trades are hard, man.
And especially when you have, and this is the case for everyone, but probably more so the case for the Warriors, you have limited assets of value. The last thing you want to do is make the wrong trade, because that can hasten the end rather than extend the prime, right?
You always have free agency in the offseason, for sure.
That's right.
For sure. Let's continue the conversation. Let's talk some Buddy Hield coming up, Kolsky. This is Locked On Warriors. We're also getting into the Zion Williamson potential move. Is it something that makes sense? What's the credibility behind it? We got the full report coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Rocket RX. If you're ready to boost your confidence and take control in the bedroom, Rocket RX has the solution. Imagine feeling more prepared and performing at your best. Rocket RX makes it simple and stress-free. Rocket RX offers FDA-approved treatments for erectile dysfunction at a lower cost than branded alternatives. No more uncomfortable doctor visits or pharmacy trips. Everything is delivered straight to your door in discreet, plain packaging. With Rocket RX, you'll get trusted care from a real U.S. clinical team. Complete a quick 100% online consultation. You can get your free prescription today. Visit Rocket RX to get started now. It only takes 2 minutes. Right now, our listeners can get 40% off your first order when you use Locked On NBA. That's rocketrx.com, code Locked On NBA for 40% off your first order. Terms and conditions apply. Rocket RX. Better sex made simple. All right. Buddy Hield. What a curious case he has been. Not the curious case of Benjamin Button, the curious case of Buddy Hield. It is remarkable, the season that he has had. I mean, you truly cannot make this up. And when Buddy Hield plays well, so do the Golden State Warriors. It's crazy to say that a bench player is your X factor, but the proof is in the pudding. The tail is in the tapioca, man. He had 153 points in his first 6 games. 6 of Buddy's first 7 games with the Warriors, he scored 20 plus. The Warriors won all those games. 36 points in his last 6 games combined. So 153 points in his first 6 games. 36 in his last 6. How the hell does this happen? I know teams get tape. I know that, look, they've had tape on Buddy Hield for a while. Everyone knows his game. Everyone knows what he brings to the table. He's starting to miss layups now. It's clearly a confidence thing, but it's truly remarkable to see the mark that he made on this team to start the season and just how much of a non-factor he's become the last month or so.
Yeah, I think non-factor is a charitable description of Buddy Hield's last month or so. This is who he is, though. And much to the chagrin of everyone listening, I tried to talk about this when he was going good early in the season. Like,
I tried to talk about it before he came here, and I got roasted off the show before I even was announced the host.
It's part of the experience. This is part of that's part of the hosting experience, but also this is part of the Buddy Hield experience. And I expect he'll have another hot streak this season, and I expect that will coincide with some very good results for the Warriors. But it's kind of important to have guys that you can play instead of him when he is struggling like this. Because it's one thing to come out and, score 10 points on 2 of 9 3-point shooting, right? And that's not great. But when you're boning layups and throwing the ball away and, messing up inbounds plays, like he's in the stink right now. And I think, the little incident with Draymond, normal stuff, but I do think it's a little insight into Buddy is letting his bad shooting affect the rest of his basketball right now. And, again, I think he'll catch another hot streak. So bench him for a minute, give him a few minutes here, a few minutes there to see if he can light a spark. And if he doesn't, back to the pine, my friend. But to be able to do that, you need a healthy Brandon Podziemski and Moses Moody. And that has not been the case over the last week. So I think that's why, the problem has been when Buddy stinks, it's easy to not play him if everybody's healthy. When Buddy stinks and everybody's not healthy and you got to watch it for 25 minutes, it's really tough.
So the question I have for you is, with the Warriors kind of in NBA purgatory right now, and there are a lot of teams that have been in purgatory for quite some time. Like, look at a franchise like the Indiana Pacers. When's the last time they've had a top 3? I mean, it seems like it's been forever. But when's the last time they've been great? Seems like it's been forever, right? They've just been kind of in purgatory. That's the last place you want to be. Like, look at some of these upstart teams. Rockets, bad for a while. Thunder, bad for a while. Spurs, bad for a while. Memphis, bad for a while. Like, sometimes that's what it takes. It takes getting lottery picks, and it takes sucking to be great. That's just part of the game. And the Warriors are somewhat in purgatory right now. And you wonder what an off sale would look like for this team in terms of returns. Because I look at the Oklahoma City Thunder and what they did, trading away Russell Westbrook for 2 first-round picks, and they got Chris Paul in the process. But they got 2 first-round picks, and then they got rid of Paul George. They ended up getting Shai Gilgeous-Alexander back, who was immediately better than Paul George, pretty much immediately better than Paul George, and they got 5 first-round picks. Like, that is the daring moves that it takes sometimes to just change the fortune of a franchise. The issue that the Warriors face is that no one wants to see Steph Curry go out with dud teams. But if you're not first, you're last. Ricky Bobby told me that. So in this precarious situation that the Warriors are in right now, like, how do they play this thing? And this will tie into the Hail Mary Zion Williamson convo that we have coming up next segment. But how do they play this thing?
As someone who believes pretty firmly that Steph Curry is one of the 10 at the worst 15 greatest players in the history of basketball, you just suck it the hell up and do whatever he wants. Honestly.
He turned you into the second most valuable franchise in American sports. It's just, hey, Steph, what do you want? We will make it happen.
Yeah, and I mean, if there is a world where Steph Curry believes that trading him for a haul of first-round picks to another place is the best path forward for him.
I'm saying
no. But I'm saying, well, okay. But the problem is none of the other guys are going to get you that haul. The Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and 5 first-round
your
picks
assets are not Paul George, right?
Yeah, they're just not. And the best asset you have is Kuminga, but odds are you're better off with Kuminga than any first-round pick you would get. Because you don't know what you're going to get out of that first-round pick. You don't know how good the draft is going to be. You don't know where it's going to land in the draft. Like, picks are always a gamble to a degree to trade for, even if you do know they're going to be a top 3 or 4 pick, because the draft is a crapshoot. In Kuminga, you have a guy who you at least know has some significant upside. So the only reason to trade him would be for somebody who's older and more ready to win a title now. And, we've talked about it 1,000 times. I don't believe that trade exists. So you do what you can to help Steph Curry be the best he can be for the last few years of his career. That's what you do. And you do your best to keep some pieces in place for the future beyond that. But, if those pieces can turn into a significant shot at a title for Steph Curry, I think everybody makes that deal 8 times out of 7. It's rare, right? And it honestly may never happen again because the Lakers certainly don't have the sort of debt to LeBron that the Warriors have to Curry, nor does the fan base have that level of attachment. The last person like this was Dirk Nowitzki, and what did the Mavs do? They let him play out the string.
And then they got another generational player. That's what happened.
Well, I mean, but that was lucky, right? I mean, that only happens because, the Kings, among others, made a terrible decision.
Who did the Kings go with in that draft? Was it
Bagley? It's really tough. It's really, really. I mean, look, the Hawks blew it too. Everybody blew it. Anybody who didn't have. There were 4 teams, I believe, who could have taken Luka Doncic, and instead the Mavericks got him. The same thing happened against Steph Curry to the Warriors, by the way, even more dramatically. So that's the stuff that has to happen a lot of times. But
with all due respect to Johnny Flynn, no Steph Curry.
No, even Ricky Rubio, not quite at Steph's level. So listen, the point is, when you've been lucky enough to have a guy like Steph Curry play his whole career for your team, you as management, as ownership, as whoever the hell, you don't stop that. You don't be the one who makes that come to an end.
Yep.
It's just the wrong thing to do. And beyond that, I don't think there's a way to screw Steph Curry and make yourself better. I just don't think there's an option that includes those two things. So you do whatever Steph wants. And I think what Steph wants is to be as competitive as possible. But I also think he is reasonable and somewhat responsible. I don't think Steph Curry is knocking, maybe Draymond, but I don't think Steph Curry is knocking anyone's door down saying, how come you won't trade Kuminga for, Caleb Martin or something? It's not, you haven't had a lot of good options. And
if Cody too, we're talking.
Yeah.
I want both of them.
If one presents itself, I believe the Warriors will listen and do what they can to make it happen. So we'll see. It's going to be a very interesting month and a half here.
All right, we've been talking about second stars for a long time. There's no doubt that Zion Williamson's a star. If healthy, he could be a cornerstone piece. Could a change of scenery allow him to flourish? Could that change of scenery be the Bay Area? I want to hear from you in the comments. Zion Williamson to Golden State. Does it make any sense? According to NBA executives, unnamed NBA executive, of course, it does. Let's talk about that coming up on Locked On Dubs. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about that you were paying for twice? It's definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions I didn't even realize I was paying for. Hulu, I haven't watched Hulu in years, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track it down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even goals that you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when you're using all of the app's premium features. That's free money by just canceling subscriptions. For me, one of the best features is that subscription tracker. Like I said, there's stuff that I haven't used, and it literally just had it there. Like, hey, you haven't used this in XYZ amount of time. You should probably cancel. Thank you. Thank you. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. All right, the Golden State Warriors and Zion Williamson. Does it make any sense for this team? According to an NBA executive, it does. Here's the full report. The New Orleans Pelicans could be looking for a fresh start, and they should be looking for a fresh start because things have not gone right with their two superstars. They're 5-28 this season. 5-28. They're 0-10 in their last 10. Zion Williamson's getting ready to return to the floor, so it could make sense that the Warriors would potentially want to bring him in. Also, per ESPN's Tim McMahon and Bobby Marks, the Golden State Warriors and Chicago Bulls were cited by NBA executives as potential fits for Williamson if the Pelicans to decide to trade the 24-year-old. Golden State looking for players who can maximize the remaining years of Steph Curry's prime. The front office made the first move by acquiring Dennis Schroeder from the Brooklyn Nets, hoping he'd add more of a scoring punch. Hasn't looked that way thus far. But again, a couple days before the deadline, he's eligible to be thrown in a trade as well. So who knows if Schroeder is a long-term solution. And regardless, he is on an expiring contract if they don't look to extend him moving forward. Zion Williamson's contract is structured in a way where it can be team-friendly. Remember, he has weight checkpoints at various points in the season. This is a guy who's 6'6" and weighs 286 pounds. Massive human being. But you say, oh, he's just a big fat guy. No, he's just big boned. I mean, he can soar. Fat guys don't run like that. They don't jump like that. He could jump over the hoop. He is a remarkable player. He's a unicorn. He's an absolute joy to watch. He can change a game. He makes you significantly better if he could stay on the floor. And that is a massive thing. Williamson's already sat out 27 games this season due to a hamstring injury. If he misses 15 more games, only 20% of his $39 million salary in 25-26 will be guaranteed if he meets his weigh-in benchmark. So it makes him somewhat of an attractive trade chip because of the way that teams are operating with the new apron restrictions. A lot of fine line minutia and details that go into it. But case in short, he's the cheapest superstar and the biggest buy low, high reward candidate on the market that you'd have through 2027. I mean, I'm kind of talking myself into this. It could be an absolute disaster. I acknowledge this, but it could be the only thing. If you're talking championship or bust, I mean, if the Warriors just want to stay competitive, maybe not the best move, but if you're talking championship or bust, this could be the only thing. Like, people out there say, no, make a fine margin trade, bring in a Vucevic. It's not going to get it done. The West is too good. The East is too good. You're going to fizzle out at some point in the playoffs. You bring in Zion Williamson, and it could change things. I mean, that's 25, 8, and 6 any given night.
It's only good if you're willing to play Kuminga, Zion, and Draymond together regularly. I don't know. Call whichever one of them you want to call the center. I don't care. But, that's going to require buy-in from Draymond to play more without a center. That's going to require guys like Looney and TJD really only playing when one of those three needs a spell.
Can I step in? Because you have Curry for multiple years now until 2027. If this trade hypothetically went through, you'd have Zion until 2027. Technically, I wouldn't say you'd call the season a wash, but you could see what you have the rest of the way. You could see how he meshes. And then, who we like that's a free agent this offseason?
Miles Turner.
Miles Turner?
Yeah, but who's he replacing out of those three?
That's a good question, man. I mean, the
only way Zion makes the team better.
I will say this on the record. Trading Draymond Green to me is not the end of the world. And I get for you, it's nostalgia factor. For everyone in the Bay Area, it's nostalgia factor. To me, I don't want to say his game is replaceable because it's not. But I do think that you could bring in Zion to be that power forward.
Yeah, but I think the Pelicans will ask for Andrew Wiggins. Why would they want 34-year-old Draymond Green?
They'd want draft picks is what they'd want. They'd want draft picks.
But Draymond...
they'd want all your draft picks. That's why it's dangerous.
But you need money
to have expiring contracts.
Not enough.
You could throw. You don't think you could throw them slop and say, hey, take 3 first-rounders?
Just to make the money work reasonably and have enough players left on your team, you're going to have either Draymond or Wiggins in the trade. And, I would not put Kuminga in the trade, by the way. Like, to me, Kuminga and Zion are similar assets in value right now because obviously Zion is far superior when on the floor, but the lack of certainty makes it
far superior. I mean, Zion's a dog, man.
But it has nothing to do with that. He's played less than half the available games in his career, if I'm not mistaken. Like he just isn't out there. So I'm not trading a 22-year-old with potential that's close to what Zion is for the real thing unless I believe the real thing's going to be on the floor for me, for me, it's got to be Wiggins or Draymond in the deal, and I don't think the Pelicans would want Draymond. I think they would, if it has to be one of the two, they'd pick Wiggins because both of those guys would be on your team for a couple years, right? I mean, they're both under contract for at least 2 more seasons, I want to say. So there's no big expiring contract for the Warriors to trade unless they wait. I guess maybe if you threw Schroeder in, he's a little bigger than some of the other role players, right? Is he like 7
million?
Oh, it's only 13. Yeah, I don't think, because it would have to be like Schroeder, Peyton, Lindy, and Kyle Anderson.
Well, let me ask you this. It would have to be just about all your expiring contracts. But let me ask you this, because you know the rules better than I do. Couldn't you just technically bring up like a Knox or a Post just to fill out the roster?
I mean, you might be able to sign them to minimum deals to fill out the roster, but who are you going to put in the game?
Just don't play 12 dudes. I mean,
well, you're only going to have 5 or 6 by the time you're done with that trade, right? I mean, if it's Schroeder and
spend sanity, baby, sanity.
I don't think it's. I don't think that's the way you're going to do it. It's basically got to be Wiggins.
I get it.
Because if I'm the Pelicans, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Pelicans think exactly what Brandon Ingram needs is a kick in the butt from Draymond Green. Who knows?
Yeah, culture.
And I'm with you. I wouldn't hang up on somebody who asked for Draymond Green in a trade, but I would want to make sure I was getting some return value that I could count on, because whatever Draymond may be, he brings a lot of value to the Warriors that you can count on.
He does. He also brings a lot of negative moments that, I mean.
It comes with some drama, but he helps the team.
This fist. I mean, that kind of started this downslide, man. We overlook that sometimes. But
yeah, but you're not getting, but punishing him by trading him and
you're not punishing him. It's called a business decision. And what team are you?
That's all I'm saying. It has to make sense.
Squad, you're average.
It has to make sense, though.
Yeah,
Chuck. We're not trading him because he punched Jordan Poole. That's spilt milk.
I get that. But Zion Williamson, that's not a nothing.
If he's on the floor.
There's something there. He's 24 years old now. Do you believe there are a lot of people that say his weight and the way that he plays and just the amount of force that he has and plays with is not good for his hamstrings and his knees and his head and his shoulders, knees and toes, eyes, ears, mouth and nose? I get it. But 8 months ago in the play-in tournament, Pelicans and Lakers, 40 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists in 36 minutes before leaving with a hamstring fourth quarter.
Look, he is. Not only is he excellent, he is one of the best shows in basketball. I mean, he is spectacular to watch. If he's on the floor, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, but that would be too easy.
First day, Kolsky, the first day that I got to see Zion play is I was courtside for my NBC job in Lexington, and it was his first game with RJ Barrett and Cam Reddish at Duke. They were playing Kentucky. I went up to Gamebridge in Indianapolis to cover it. And Kentucky had like Tyler Hero, Keldon Johnson, Emmanuel Quickley, PJ Washington. They had a pretty good team. Duke beat him by like 40. Zion had like 28 on 11 of 13 shooting. And that's what he'll give you consistently, is he'll give you, the field goal percentage has been down a little bit this year, but he'll give you 60% nights where he'll just go 11 of 14, 13 of 20, 16 of 19. So efficient. So the question I have is, if you're wanting to win a championship in the next 3 seasons, a Hail Mary may be your only chance. Like if you try to play this conservatively, you may end up with nothing. You win titles by taking gambles. Steph's ankles, you took the gamble. Trading for Wiggins, you took the gamble. High risk, high reward trades can help you out. It would kind of be selling out for Steph's last run. But for those of you that have said you do everything for Steph Curry to make sure that he has his best chance of winning a title, I think what you do is you ask Steph Curry, hey, you think you could play with this guy? Do you believe that if he had a change of scenery, he'd change his ways? Because I think motivation has been another thing tied to Zion Williamson, right? Or maybe not motivation, but discipline. I'd say that's a word.
Yeah, I think discipline at the dinner table is something that's been questioned. But you just don't know, right? I mean, the history of larger men with lower extremity issues is not great in the NBA. At the same time, there's the Steph Currys of the world who looked like his career might never happen because of ankle issues, and we barely hear about the ankles anymore. So I'm with you. It's a worthy gamble. And if his stock is really as low as the report says, which the suggestion is Andrew Wiggins, Lindy Waters, and a first rounder or something might get the job done, I kind of think it's a no-brainer. As long as you believe you can put him on the floor with Draymond and Kuminga in crunch time. Because your best five is still going to be Schroeder, Steph, Kuminga, Zion, and Draymond.
Amen. That's a show, brother. Good stuff. Happy New Year, 2025. The season of Warriors wins.
Hey, man, Steph said it was feeling like 21-22, so this could be a really good year.
Let's hope so. This is Locked On Warriors, free and available wherever you get your audio podcast. Check us out on YouTube and leave us a like on the way out. Appreciate it, everyone. Have a great 2025.